and welcome back to Sugar.413. We're going to do a part two of what it was like way back when, basic training, Air Force. So I'm going to just start from where I left off when we get up in the morning and you're looking down the aisles and you can see they're called squadrons and squadrons of people lined up. You can see males, females, males, females, just in a sloppy formation because we just got there. We didn't know the rules. We didn't know how to line up correctly, so it was a mess. Um, so the next morning, the reveille, you can hear. You get up, you jump to your feet, and you start lining up so you can get downstairs so they could do the roll call and stuff. After that, you go to a breakfast. So at breakfast, you clearly learn that at all your meals for basic training, you have to drink 2 cups of water before you can have any juice or soda. It's just mandatory. And I think the reason was because San Antonio, Texas gets very, very warm. And I think that they just want to make sure that you stay hydrated. So you had to drink that 2 glasses of water before you can get any other drinks with your meal, which, like I said, make perfect sense. And at the same time, when you march to the chow hall or dining facility, you're learning cadence, you're learning how to march, how to stay in step with the person in front and in back of you. Um, and you're getting all kind of commands yelled at you that you really just don't know what they mean unless you were military before and you're doing a repeat basic training. So you learn some new routines. You got up for reveille. I believe it was 6 in the morning every day, except for on weekends. I think we slept in an extra hour. There's no junk food allowed in the dorm. So you're not going to be snacking on cookies and candies. Not right away, not the first couple of weeks. It's a privilege. You earn the privilege later to have snacks in your dorm room, okay? And I can understand that because you got like 30, 35 people sleeping in this one open room. And if everybody had cookies and candy and you're not really clean with it, you would have bugs galore. So I understand that rule because Texas had those big cockroaches that were like this and they could fly. So I understand not having a lot of food around to feed in the roaches that they had. You learned that you new routine was we went to bed about 9 o'clock every night. We also started running because you're going to have to run 1.5 miles before you complete boot camp. So you learned how to run in cadence with people who had longer and shorter legs than you. So that was kind of difficult because I'm kind of tall and I have long legs. So I had to run in cadence with the person to the side, to the back, and to the front of me because we had to be in the same. So that took a couple weeks to learn and get used to. Learning that you wear your hats outside exclusively. You don't wear hats inside the building. Or those who've been through boot camp in the Air Force know about 341s. You can get a 341 pulled from you, which is like a demerit slip that you would have to give to whoever, whatever drill sergeant caught you. They could be from a different squadron or whatever. Whoever requested one from you, you give it to them. And when you had so many of those, you could be set back, which means you could have to complete an additional week of basic training. Or you could just have some privileges taken from you if you had so many of them. So you try not to get 341s pulled. You had to learn how to manage your time because remember, boot camp is not just boot camp. You're just not learning to walk and run in cadence, and you're learning all the military history. You're learning all the military acronyms because they use a lot of acronyms that you're not going to be familiar with until you get through boot camp. So you're learning all of that. You're learning how to drill, which means how to march and all the march commands. So you have to learn how to stop, what they do when they say left, right, left, and all of those different military commands. You're learning those. You're learning how to properly salute an officer, and you're learning what an officer is because you probably seen him on TV, but not really quite sure. So the officer is a person who's enlisted in the military, but they're not an enlisted pay grade. They're O pay grade, which is an officer, and they have to have at least a 4-year degree. So a lot of people that were in basic with me, some of them had a 2-year degree. So when they finished basic training and went to tech school, they would get additional stripes and so forth. But if you had a 4-year degree and you passed the officer training, you can become an officer, and you would start off as a second lieutenant. So you had to learn the military rank. It was a second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain, major. You learned all of that while you were in basic training. So basic training, like I said, is not just for learning the acronyms. You learn a lot about the Air Force and the military period. So it was a different experience. It wasn't impossible because I made it through, and so didn't everybody in my squad. I think we had 2 people who got washed back. Those are people who couldn't learn their task in the time they met, so they couldn't make it through. So they had to do additional time in boot camp. Wash back. So some people get washed back for a week, which means have an additional week of learning. Some people get washed back for 2 weeks. After that, I think they just send you home because they're like, you just don't get it. And then we had a couple of girls who went on a hunger strike. They refused to eat. And they would just sit at the table. They would drink their 2 glasses of water, and they refused to eat any food. So they had to go back home. They didn't make it through boot camp. So those are some of the things that really stand out with me. I'm not sure what changed since I've been out and I went through boot camp in the 80's. I'm sure a lot of things are different. I don't think they're allowed to swear at you anymore. When I was in there, they could swear at you. So that's nothing to be proud of, but they could. When I was in, you couldn't have braids in your hair. I think now girls, Afro-American or Latino girls can have braids in their hair. They couldn't have that when I went in. You just had to have your straight nappy fro. You get special military issue glasses. So if you wear glasses, you can't wear your stylish frames. Everyone is uniform. We wear the same uniform, the same glasses, no jewelry. So everybody looks the same in boot camp. And then it's like a privilege when you graduate and you move to AI to your technical training, you get to do more things. You get to stay up later. You get to wear your hair different. It's like a privilege to make it through the 6 weeks because now you're going to get a lot of things given back to you that you had when you were a civilian before you even joined the military. Another thing that I learned that I should have early the first couple of days is that you can't bring a lot of stuff. Don't bring your whole wardrobe with you because you're going to be wearing uniforms. You don't need your clothes until you get to technical training school, and maybe your parents can mail your suitcase to you because there's lots of people coming in boot camp with you, but you don't have the storage space. We even had one of the people in my squadron brought her violin. Wrong. You cannot bring your violin to basic training. It's nowhere for them to store it. They had to ship that back home. And I understand that that's a very expensive instrument, and she didn't want to leave it home because she was scared that somebody would damage it. And I get it. I get it. But they don't have room for all of your personal things that you have at home. So you want to make the list of things that you bring very short. Just things you need. Underwear, bras, stuff like that. Mandatory stuff. Don't bring all your cutesy stuff because there's nowhere to store it. You learn how to make the bed with the military corners, and it's true, they would try to bounce a quarter off to see if your bed was made tight enough. I can't do it now for the life of me. I make a sloppy bed, but I think it's probably all in rebellious mode since I had to do it in boot camp. I probably don't want to ever do it again. So since then, I've never been able to make a good bed. It's just, but you jump in, leave comments. If anyone has been through boot camp and you can relate to the things, or if you've been through boot camp in a different branch of the service, maybe not the Air Force, drop your comments. What was it like for you going through boot camp? Was it a traumatic experience? Did you learn a lot? I learned about myself that I can be pushed to limits, that I can do whatever my mind is set to do. You can do it. You can make it through. It's only 6 weeks of your life. And as you know, time goes by so fast. Before you know it, it's over and you are graduating. So it's a good feeling. One thing I would say to people that have family members that's graduating high school now or graduating college and going into the military, please send them care packages. If your kid is gone and they're in this environment that is totally different, living with all kind of people from all different walks of life, send them their favorite things, something maybe some popcorn that they like that's unique to them, or some candy. It was a period in time where we could get care gifts and we could get snacks. But we had to eat them up by that day, so you had to share them with your squadron, which was fine. But I never got a care package. My mom didn't know about it, could probably care less about it, but she never sent me a care package. I always ate off of other people's stuff. And I think that I felt a little jealous that they had grandparents and parents who were mailing them out things when I was barely even getting mail. And write some mail to your family members that's going through boot camp. Send them a letter once a week. Just check in on them. How you doing? How things going? What did you learn new? What can you share with us to tell the family about boot camp? Whatever. Just reach out to them. So I think I overemphasized when my daughter went to college, sending stuff and going there, showing up. Now I could do that because she was close enough. My parents couldn't just go to Texas. They would have to get on a plane, and you weren't allowed anyway. We couldn't just have visitors when you were in boot camp. But a letter would have been nice every now and then, to get a letter from your family or your friends, just saying that they missed you, seeing how you're doing, just checking in. So if you can, do that. If you have family members that's getting ready to go through any kind of boot camp or basic training, even college, when you're going away to college and you're in a dorm with a bunch of strangers that you just met and you're living with them, and that's going to be your new family, check in on your kids. Drop them a care package. They lived with you for 18 years. You know what they like. You know their favorite things. So that's going to really wrap it up that I can think of from my experience with boot camp. If you have any that you'd like to share, please do. This is part 2 of what it was like to go through basic training. Please like and share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing other life lessons that I learned. These are all experiences that are personal and true to me. Everybody's experience is different, but I'm only talking about Sugar.413 experience. That's all I have is my own. I don't know how it went for you. I'm not sure, but that's how it went for me. So, yeah, feel free, share. Let's get this out here. Let's share, because I know there are thousands of veterans that are on this YouTube platform, and they would probably love to share their stories. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for sharing, and have a wonderful day.